I would like to introduce you to our latest Glenn Beck Fisher-Price action figure set. This is Fisher-Price Businessman. This is his outfit, and he's got a knit tie. Like, just when you thought, all right, it's a suit, he's got it together. It's not some wacky scarfed kids playing cowboy outfit. And then he's got to throw a knit tie in there. What'd you crochet it yourself? You weird Cracker Barrel asshole. He's had this up too. Day 37 since stranded in Afghanistan. For the record, Glenn Beck has never been stranded in Afghanistan. You think he had a neck lift? You think that's what it was? So he was wearing the scarf to cover the neck lift? I don't think it took, if that's the case. You know? There's a neck lift that I'm a big fan of, which is lay off the ice cream. Would be it's great. Yeah, holy 90s, exactly. Yeah, he usually wears big boy PJs, his cowboy PJs. But so this is, by the way, exposed, which is very frightening. I'm glad the desk is as high as it is. How Karl Marx's vile tactics are being used today. Karl Marx's vile tactics, the tactics of Karl Marx. I'm sure these are Karl Marx tactics that no one else has thought up. And this has got to be Karl Marx. It's not just run-of-the-mill revolutionary stuff that's being threaded through some assholes in the activist class. I'm sure it's this is pure Karl Marx. Here it comes. Karl Marx. Take it away.
Piven strategy of manufactured crisis and overwhelmed the system back in the day. He's back. He's got a new book. Who was Karl Marx? The man, the motives, and the menace behind today's rampaging American.
Are we supposed to pick out which one he is? Shit. Who was Karl Marx? Is he that guy? No, that's Lenin, I think. That's obviously Santa. This is obviously the winner of the biggest beard competition in Wyoming 3 years running in 1865. This is obviously John Wilkes Booth's second cousin. That's Mika Brzezinski's dad. It has to be, because he's got to be one of these. I'm pretty sure that guy was a president. I'm sure, and I know that guy is a president. Is that Bernie Sanders without his glasses? I can't tell. Obviously, this is Brezhnev. Or one of his many body doubles. This is, of course, I think she's the lead character in Strangers with Candy. That's Randy Pelosi. This is some guy taking a selfie with a book, which is very strange. I don't know what the shit that is. Is that one of the guys from, do we know? Any guesses? Obviously, this is the grandfather of the Green River Killer. I'm going to go with that. This is the guy who lost the job to Dick Sargent when Dick York took over. That's, of course, one of the few serious and dramatic photos of Don Knotts. And obviously, this is probably some Russian woman who stole American nuclear I don't know. Who was Karl Marx? It's hard to say. Obviously, he's rolling the dice and saying it's between these two people. And I'm going to guess, in reality, besides Joe Biden, that's Saul Slavinsky, Shlemiel, Shlemazel, Hassenpfeffer Incorporated. It's Helena Bonham Carter. You're right. Beg your pardon. Everyone on this thing is named Dick or has a relative named Dick. This is true. Jerry Blank, thank you. Thank you, Chris. Chris, well done. Okay. This is the great book that no one's going to read.
He has worked under President Reagan, H.W. Bush, Clinton. He was in the Office of Management and Budget. He is a guy who has an awful lot of...
Anybody can spot Marxism. It's a guy who worked in the OMB.
Credibility and has been around and has, because he's an investigative journalist, actually knows how to tell the right story and get the facts right.
Excellent. So he investigated this person. And was he ever able to find out who was Karl Marx of those pictures? Please tell me I don't have to wait till the last chapter to figure out which person in those pictures. I'm curious.
Good to talk to you again. How are you, sir?
Hey, Glenn, great to be with you.
Thank you. So,
For having me.
who was Karl Marx?
Yeah, who was Karl Marx? Well, you know,
wait, there's a picture of him right there. That guy on the corner, the bald guy with the beard. I'm pretty sure that's him. Right? Isn't that what he looked like? I never saw him with his hat off. So, shit.
out to be this secular god that could never have done any wrong. But as I describe in the book, he
is that the top? That's the short title. I don't know how I'm going to look that up in the card catalog.
everything that he claimed to hate about all the people he was going to destroy with the communist revolution. He was a greedy, selfish, petty, arrogant, lazy, dishonest, two-faced, lecherous, bigoted, and he brimmed with hatred. He had all the ugly characteristics.
Also racist. He was racist. Don't leave out racist. I mean, bigoted is one thing, but he was full-on racist.
Attributed to others to excuse the destruction he and his followers intended to inflict on the world. He was deeply bigoted. He hated blacks. He favored slavery. He called the proletariat he was supposedly going to free from their chains stupid boys, rogues, asses. He spied for the German government on his communist friends for money, and
well, he's not going to do it for free. There was no in his defense. There was no communist spying co-op at the time. He would have loved to have started one on his own, but he didn't have that chance.
The fact that his father was a wealthy attorney.
Yeah, he's basically describing Trump, right? Marx and Trump are like this, and Marx is on top.
Money on him. He was perpetually broke and spent his
also much more like Trump. You'd think they'd be as what strange bedfellows.
Life, depending on small cash donations from his co-conspirator Friedrich Engels, who stole money out of his father's business petty cash account, and then spent the rest of his time hovering over ailing relatives, waiting for them to die so he could find out what he would get in their wills. This was the real guy. And it turns out he is typical. Mao Zedong was the same way. Bill Ayers was the same way.
Well, in Bill Ayers' defense, I mean, he had violent ideas, but he was an underachiever. I mean, not only do you have a guy who's killed somewhere in the order of, between 40 and 100 million people, depending on who you ask, but also had syphilis and didn't believe he had to watch out for things like gonorrhea because he washed his genitalia in his concubines. That's what he said. I mean, few people have said more disgusting things. Again, I don't know why Trump has a problem with them.
Castro brothers were the same way. These are all impossibly arrogant,
right,
greedy, selfish men who believed they had the right to own the world. I mean, really, that's what it
they died before they ever got a chance. Phew.
Comes down to. All they were driven by really was power and greed.
Right. So again, Trump is a Marxist. I've been saying it all along. They have so much in common. I mean, shall we? Let's see. Walter Williams wrote a paper. He was he passed away in 2020. I believe it might have been COVID related. He worked at what school? He was a professor of economics at George Mason. Let's see. May Day celebrations are being held all across the fruited plain with leftists, radicals, and unionists worshiping in the ideals of communism. They wrote a pamphlet. In 1867, Marx wrote the first volume of Das Kapital. The second and third volumes were published posthumously, edited by Engels. For those who see Marx as their hero, here's a few historical tidbits they might find interesting. Nathaniel Weil, himself a former communist, dug them up from his 1979 book, Karl Marx, Racist. Kind of more to the point than this dude's kind of, who was he? What was the thing? Let's find out. Just straight up, I mean, way to just kick it in the ass. There you go. Karl Marx racist. For example, Marx didn't think much of Mexicans when the United States annexed California from the Mexican War. After the Mexican War, Marx sarcastically asked, "Is it a misfortune that magnificent California has seized from the lazy Mexicans who did not know what to do with it?" Engels shared Marx's contempt for Mexicans, explaining, "In America, we have witnessed the conquest of Mexico and have rejoiced at it. It is the interest of its own development that Mexico be placed under the tutelage of the United States." Marx had a racial vision that is interesting to his modern-day black supporters. In a letter to Engels in reference to his socialist political competitor Ferdinand Lassalle, Marx wrote, "It is now completely clear to me that he, as is proved by his cranial formation and his hair, descends from the Negroes who had joined Moses' exodus from Egypt, assuming that his mother or grandmother on the paternal side had interbred with an N-word." He uses the full-on, it's a hard R from Marx on that one. "Now with his union of Judaism and Germanism with a basic Negro substance must produce a peculiar product." Engels shared Marx's racial philosophy. 1887, Lafargue, who was Marx's son-in-law, was a candidate for council seat in Paris district that contained a zoo. Engels claimed that Lafargue had 1/8 or 1/12 N-word blood. In a letter to Lafargue's wife, Engels wrote, "Being in his quality as an N-word, a degree nearer to the rest of the animal kingdom than the rest of us." I mean, they were both adorable. Marx also was an anti-Semite, just so you know. He wrote an essay called "On the Jewish Question," which sounds like something that we're this close to seeing a video from Glenn Beck on. "What is the worldly religion of the Jew? Huckstering. What is his worldly god? Money." This is Marx. "Money is the jealous god of Israel, in face of which no other god may exist. Money degrades all the gods of man and turns them into commodities. The bill of exchange is the real god of the Jew. His god is only an illusory bill of exchange." Jesus Christ. "The chimerical nationality of the Jew is the nationality of the merchant, of the man of money in general." Ooh. Yes. The primary reason why why the fruit of thought that hangs from a tree like that is of no interest to me. Well, I feel the Sparksist philosophy has a lot going for it that does not entail a history of beliefs like that. So that's good. Whew. But let's see what his vile tactics. Let's see who those people that want Medicare for all or something are the same as that guy. Is what he's saying.
Communism is window dressing. It's the marketing plan to sell this monstrous ideology. That's what it is.
It is. When you actually learn about him, and a lot of this stuff wasn't known. A lot of the stuff was held back by the former Soviet Union and classified. And I think it was a Verona paper time that some of this stuff was released, but nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to expose it. But
I just did. It was really easy. I mean, it's just easy. Yes,
it's all factual information because I think his wife said this should be preserved.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely, it's available today. In fact, a lot of my sources come right out of a website called Marxist.org. And
another lazy cut and paste book from the right. Yes, exposed via Wikipedia. These secret information that was hidden from the public until the 1979 book Karl Marx, racist, which is not to say that Karl Marx's colon was racist, although since the rest of him was racist, I suppose it was. It just didn't come up. Ew. Sorry. So far, no vile tactics, though. Are we getting to the vile tactics?
It's simply amazing. And, there's still a lot of classified stuff about the Soviet communists and their various meetings. But Marx is just amazing, the truth about his life. You know, 2 of his daughters committed suicide,
Right.
a son-in-law, 3 of his children died of malnutrition while his wife was running around trying to raise enough money to get a coffin for one of their kids. Marx employed what one writer described as a loutish, libidinous, and otherwise useless secretary because he felt that a man of his stature needed to keep up appearances.
He was that the character of Mrs. Swiggins on Carol Burnett was based after Karl Marx's secretary. Mrs. Swiggins, will you get in here right now?
Simply amazing. It's simply amazing.
Can you say amazing more or amazing? Say amazing again. Can we get on to the whole, how are the vile tactics still, yeah.
This is the guy that all the leftists, all those Antifa folks rioting out in the streets claim to call their own secular God.
Do you get into his...
So when you say they claim to call their secular God, is he indeed not a God because he's secular? And secondarily, are they claiming this and it's not actually true? Good Lord.
Faith or lack of? I mean, there's there's evidence that he was a tortured guy and had said in his life, "I sold my soul to the devil." Yep. Can you talk about that at all?
Yeah, sure. So, you know, they were ethnically Jewish family, but his father converted to Christianity, became a Lutheran so that he could continue to practice law in Lutheran-dominated Germany. And Marx was raised as a Christian.
Yes, they're saying Biden and Obama are Marxist. Yes, I don't...
And actually, in high school, wrote beautiful Christian poetry. It's really quite stunning. I quote it in the book. But when he went off to college, like we are all familiar with, he fell in with...
that's when the tainting happened. He went off to... That's what you got to do is... The ultimate message is of, don't send your kid to college. They'll come back a Marxist pederast with syphilis. Jesus.
Wrong crowd. Some claim it was a Satanist crowd. You know, Richard Wurmbrand, who was
who sounds like a Satanist. Richard Wurmbrand.
You know, a Catholic priest who was tortured by his communist government. I believe he was Yugoslavian or Romanian, I forget. He wrote a book called Marx and Satan, and he quotes...
It sounds fair.
Marx's poetry after he made this conversion. Marx wasn't an atheist. He felt like he should be equal to God. And I quote a poem right at the beginning of my chapter.
Well, if an atheist thinks there is no God and they think they should... I don't know, this is very confusing.
On Marx that describes that, and it's really a paraphrase for Isaiah, where God describes...
Oh, get on with it. How are the tactics? The title of this is Exposed. How Karl Marx's vile tactics, not his vile beliefs, not his vile personality, not his vile lack of beard oil, vile tactics. Let's hear it. I'm waiting on that are being used today. It is Friday. I am concerned. This is what a bunch of lip flapping bullshit. Get on with it.
I mean, it's really the same thing. Isaiah says, "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High," talking about Satan. And Marx says, "I will wander godlike and victorious through the ruins of the world, and giving my words an active force, I will feel equal to the Creator." So Marx hated God.
Well, I will feel, in theory, right? Not to defend the obvious, delusions of grandeur written in there, but I will feel equal to.
And I really believe actually most atheists, if they're honest, that's the truth. It's not that they don't believe, it's just that they can't
fuck off with judging atheists. I don't care. You promised vile tactics that are being used today.
God would allow, all the things to happen that happen in the world, and that's their rationalization. But
I don't think from what I've read, I don't think Marx you could put him in that category of just can't believe that God would allow these things to happen.
Right.
He was an oppositional, oppositional force.
Yes.
I think he actually believed in God and was trying to thwart him.
That's right. Yes, that seems like a good use of your time. You believe in God, and your goal is to thwart an all-knowing being that you believe controls and is and of all things. What was he going to do? Like, drive through Tulsa, Oklahoma, wait for a 900-foot Jesus to walk by and build a big ladder and punch him in the Jim Jams? What are you talking about?
Taking the opposite positions.
Yes. Yeah. For fuck's sake.
Exactly. No, exactly. Absolutely blazing defiance. And that's pretty much
blazing defiance. You sure you don't want to use flaming? I mean, you could get the gay agenda worked into this as well. I'm sure it's got to be part of it, right?
His life and his story. I mean, all of his friends describe him as a man, a destructive spirit whose heart was filled with hatred. One said, Engels said he rages without ceasing, as if 10,000 devils had caught him by the hair.
Yeah, it sounds like a night at Mar-a-Lago.
Bakunin, probably the most prominent
yes,
anarchist,
the ancient art of thwarting God.
Said one has to worship Marx in order to be loved by him. One has to at least fear him in order to be tolerated. Marx
fuck
is
off!
extremely
Get on
proud,
with it.
Up to dirt and madness. And this is the guy they founded their whole ideology on.
Honest to Jesus. Where is this? Where? Yes, it's obviously the dead gay ghost of Karl Marx is striking fear in the hearts of man today. Yes, Marx ate your baby.
It's crazy.
So, Jim, your book pretty much describes everything.
Wait, you went to break and came back? Okay, so maybe these are the tactics. Here come the tactics. Christ, we needed that introduction.
Happening today as a result of, Karl Marx and further developed by his followers.
Yep.
But am I wrong saying that it is chaos and hatred is the main strategy?
Yes, no, absolutely.
So, okay. Let me see. Chaos. Run that by me again, Glenn. Hold on 1 second. Chaos and hatred? Let me see. I don't want to jump on the wrong page. 1 second. Run that by me again.
Further developed by his followers.
Yep.
But am I wrong saying that it is chaos and hatred?
Okay. Chaos and hatred. Let's see. Let me see if I can find something in here. If you don't mind, give me 1 second. Glenn Beck. This is chaos and hatred. Here is let's see, I'll just go to videos, see what's just up on here. Chaos and hatred. So the goal of Marx is chaos and hatred. This is, of course, Glenn Beck's, I don't know why he's smiling in this, because what is there to smile about in the world? No leaders with a spine, selling our kids for power, Ponzi scheme to heal the economy, government's big tech takeover. They're weaponizing everything. I'm fighting like hell. Marx's psychological terrorism today. Thought police are here. America's deficit of truth is China provoking Taiwan? Of course they are. It's silly. Massive debt ends empires. Fauci's an idiot. We've accepted the new normal. One way to stop him with Biden. Empty shelves are coming. Oh, look, it's our newest favorite Satan worshiper, allegedly. Mike Flynn, is eating ice cream a sign of dementia? Yes, the president can't think, can't form a cohesive thought, and the ice cream is a dead giveaway. Where's the GOP? First political prisoner? Sit down and shut up. Financial privacy is out the window. It was disgusting, whatever it is. Vaccine mandate hidden inside bill. Jedi is now problematic. On the road to genocide? Activist calls for violence. What may be coming next? Where'd they come from? We're in times of weak men. Well, that's obviously a moment of self-reflection for Glenn. They're weaponizing the IRS. Aussie police out of control. New poll, Trump would win. We could be Venezuela in 4 years. Inflation out of control. No vaccine mandate for them. These crazy people coming across with bringing AIDS across the river. We'll get to that in a minute. That's what Trump said. We're giving China authority. Trump slams Biden's withdrawal. Awful attacks against capitalism. 15,000 at our border. Pakistan helps when U.S. won't. Is intellectual diversity dead? Worst plague of human life. China economy in trouble. Well, yeah, of course it is. The left has already succeeded, which is probably the most frightening thing. But tell me again how, like, hatred and division are the keys of Marxists. Yeah, mass hysteria.
Is the main strategy?
Yes, no, absolutely.
Yes, it's a clickbait strategy. Fuck off.
No, and it's really, although obviously you look at Antifa and BLM, these people express genuine hatred. I mean, it's hatred for things that literally do not exist. It's
Oh, then I wouldn't worry then. I mean, hatred for things that do not exist. Well, I guess atheists feel that way about Karl Marx's disdain for God then.
Manufactured hatred, and some of them are foolish enough to actually believe it. But the strategy is basically intimidation. I call it psychological terrorism.
Okay, so this is probably the same clip we saw before with a different title on it. He's just ad testing these.
Lenin was the first one to really articulate that. He said,
imagine there's no heaven. I am the walrus. Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
We need to write in a language that inspires hate, revulsion, and scorn towards those who disagree with us.
Huh. Now who took that note and just fucking ran with it? Sorry, we need to write in a way that does what now? Is this the day we find out that Glenn Beck is a born-again Marxist? Because does he write anything that isn't that? Yeah. Adorable. Don't you dare put a lid on me. Doesn't quite have the Gadsden flag thing. It actually scared me. Right. Okay. Anyways, you get my point. All right. Tactics. Tell us the tactics.
Not towards those who are bad or wrong or anything, to those who disagree with us. And the whole point is to intimidate, marginalize, and as we're seeing, destroy the reputations and the lives of people who are articulate in pulling these guys' covers and showing who exactly they are. They go out to destroy them. And so people don't necessarily go along with this whole idea that, we're white supremacists, we're a racist society and all that, but they're afraid to say otherwise because they see what happens to those people who stand up to the left.
We're not a white supremacist society. We have white supremacists among us who are trying to claim the society as their own. We're not a racist society. We have some elements of racism in our past that we're trying to legislate out of existence and make up for. and expand the ability for everyone to be included in the American dream. So we're not a racist society, nor are we a white supremacist society. We have to deal with those things like every society has to deal with the inhumans among them. Look, I did that and I wasn't canceled. Amazing. Perhaps it's not what you say, but how you say it.
Really, nobody wants to be in that position. Nobody wants to be excommunicated from their society, from their friends, from their neighbors, from their family.
From the hotel in John Wick?
Losing jobs. It's literally a form of terrorism. And,
pro-European, does that sound hateful? Nope.
Started with Lenin, but it was carried forward through the Soviet Communist Party, telling communist parties of the world.
And now has really found a home on Glenn Beck's page.
All our opponents, bigots, racists call them, anti-Semites call them, fascists and Nazis. And so they just keep repeating that, and over time, people start to actually believe it. And then it got brought forward by another hardcore communist.
Where the fuck is the tactics?
Who talked about white privilege. Noel Ignatieff, who was actually a Harvard.
Get on with it.
Professor, even though he did not have the qualifications to be a Harvard professor, he became one anyway. Ask yourself how that happened. And he came up with the idea of white privilege. We have...
I see. So let me guess. He was an affirmative action hire? Is that what we're supposed to take away?
Herbert Marcuse, who deserves a book of his own, who came up with the concept of partisan tolerance. That is, tolerance only of the ideas from the left and complete intolerance right down to the level of thought of anybody who disagrees with them.
Oh, we had 666 in the chat. Welcome, everybody who's joined the chat. Don't forget, it's a great time to 666 the super chats just to drive Glenn Beck crazy. Any denomination of $6.66 you want to throw in there for a super chat helps us out immensely. You can also subscribe or become a member on the YouTube channel, and the same thing is true on Twitch. Fire those bits up and get us on a hype train and all that kind of stuff that I'm supposed to say to be a professional streamer. Look, I'm doing the work, Ma. Okay. Shit.
And so this is where all this stuff came from. And then our favorite guy, Saul Alinsky, put it all together in a manual on how to destroy your enemies called Rules for Radicals.
I've been saying for a while, we are in a revolution, but only one side is recognizing it. And the rest of us are like, well, no, it's not that. It's right.
Right. Nobody wants to think of that because to do so really requires a whole change in not merely our perspective, but in our lives. I mean, we really have to.
Yes, we really have to. It's time we all shift over to thinking of our fellow Americans as violent enemies. While, by the way, ignoring all the input from Russia and China, Saudi Arabia and Iran, and pretending that all of our friends on Facebook are real people and not fake accounts put there by foreign powers to intentionally stoke divide, while at the same time financing shows like Glenn Beck's.
Get off the couch and really get to work because...
So what is...
Oh, I see. You think the MAGA crowd are lazy. I see. All right. Okay. All right. We'll just let that sit there. All right.
Our country.
What does that mean? I know the longest chat...
That I want to know based on this entire fucking conversation. Where are the tactics that are happening today?
The book is all about Václav Havel. That's one of the ideas in that chapter.
Yeah, I quote Havel later. Somebody, one of my readers sent me an essay he wrote. I didn't actually...
I don't doubt it.
Know that he had said...
Was it in crayon on toilet paper? Did he write it with his feet in an insane asylum? Inquiring minds want to know.
Same thing, but it's very important.
Why
because
does Glenn's stomach hang on the table? Where else is it going to go?
his suggestion, he was the leader of Czechoslovakia after the Soviet Union, quote unquote, fell. He was the Czech Republic's first president.
They didn't fall. We are not falling. We are just playing a little game with the West, yes? We will pretend to be broken up. We will pretend they have Ukraine and other places. But in reality, we will just pretend to be Russia, and then we'll sneak up behind them and quick. This is the only plan.
And he said the only way to circumvent the communism that is deeply entrenched in
Thanks, Robert.
the culture and the society and the institutions, which is the same problem we have here, is to create a parallel society. And you create a parallel society that everybody will find preferable because what the communists set up is so horrific. Nobody wants to be part of it. They just don't have any options. But we have a very good opportunity here, especially in state and local government.
You mean to support democracy and not let the debt ceiling stagnate and crash our entire fucking economy, and maybe build infrastructure based on taking in taxes from normal capitalist business structures and actually build the country up naturally, or instead of letting it fall so far behind that indeed to get out of the problems we find ourselves in, we would have to nationalize forces to it. We'd have to take the military and the National Guard to save all the bridges eventually because they haven't been taken care of, which would be a giant act of socialism or capitalism, which seems to be the direction that McConnell and them favor. Like that, you mean? You mean like that?
How the school boards are being overthrown, and of course how the national government comes in and says, well, we're going to declare those people domestic terrorists.
Right.
Only the ones that are actually threatening to murder teachers and people on school boards, you fucking lunatic.
Really insane, but
No, it's quite sane. It's quite sane. In a civilized society, you don't get to come to a fucking school board meeting and threaten people with death without getting in a smidgen of trouble. You should get a knock on your door from one of the people that we pay to represent our interests as a general public, so we don't have to go knock on your door and burn your fucking house down with some sort of weird vigilante justice thing. How about we have a functioning legal system where a cop goes, hey, don't, we're giving you a little warning, don't threaten people's lives. That's against the law. And, first you'll pay a fine, next you're going to fucking jail, because our concern is, and you might understand this, is that you might follow through with it. And this is a woman in her mid-50s who would rather not be in a gun battle on her way to teach social studies.
We have to provide those alternatives, and as we do, the votes...
We're going to build an entire government based on the power of NASCAR and Chick-fil-A. Come on, listen to me. All right. Well, they setting up this whole Marxist thing, right? They're going to have Elon Musk electric cars and super phones and nano computers and AI, and they're going to bring tech factories back and give people 2 years of community college so they can learn the vocation, so they can work in computers to protect America against cyber attacks and all that kind of stuff. They can do all that shit over there. All right. What we're going to do is build an alternative America based on freedom. You know what I'm saying? FREEDUMB. Here, say it again. And the entire economic functioning structure of it will be on strawman gun sales, NASCAR, oh, come on, and Chick-fil-A. Everything's going to be dipped in pickle juice. It's just how we live. And of course, we're just going to watch cars ride in a circle, and whoever loses, we shoot them first. What's not to like? Know what I'm saying? All right, come on.
And the money drained from the left and go back to freedom-loving...
Oh my gosh, thank you, Mako Scuba. Bless you for that. I appreciate that, all of our Aussie brothers and sisters. Freedom! Freedom!
America. And that's what we need to do, and that chapter describes at great length. It is the longest chapter with hundreds...
It's not as long as this fucking interview, is it? Just, dude, what did your editor do? Just sit there and go, stretch, please. Fucking hell.
And hundreds of suggestions
Thank you, Mako Scuba.
on ways to do that and the ways that we should behave. And a lot of it involves things that don't really require.
Did you fucking yawn during your own talk? Son of a bitch. Listen to this. Hold on.
That we really change our lifestyle too much because, most people just aren't going to do that. Most people aren't going to go out in the street and start fighting against Antifa.
Right.
Most people
why not? Just too lazy. I'm lost
stand up
Jackie.
to this massive cultural incursion that the left has successfully prosecuted over the last 100 years. So we need to figure out a way.
100 years? What do you mean left incursion? What do you mean, gay marriage and Social Security? Get fucked, you tool.
To work that harmonizes with our abilities and, as Saul Alinsky said, doesn't take us out of our comfort zone.
Jim, I'm going to pick your book up today. I'm going to begin to read it today. This is
great, and you'll finish it before he's done talking. Son of a bitch.
Kind of stuff that I have been looking for,
Besides the anything that's not in the Whole Earth catalog to buy clothes.
Your research, I know you know this inside and out, and this is more than just knowing where it all came from, which is really, really important to see how it was built. But I'm very interested.
Oh, fuck off! This is the end of the thing, and there's no tactics. Where's the tactics? We were promised tactics. What's the list look like? Well, first of all, you create a decision tree, and then every third person gets a Molotov cocktail, and then somebody with blue hair goes and makes sure that Ann Huckster doesn't get to speak at some college. And then, of course, they go after the advertisers on Tucker Show. And then you have shock troops that tactics. No tactics? This is bullshit. I didn't hear a single goddamn tactic. Blathering nonsense.
Solutions as well, because we better get moving quickly or time will run out on us.
Yeah, time has already run out. That's why you're getting bumper music, dum-dum. God damn, that's tired. All right, I wasn't even going to do that whole thing, and it's still just aggravating.